You know, I've never really been good at Excitebike. I just don't get it.
Well, wouldn't you want to, like, practice to get better at it, or?
No, I mean, like, think about it. When am I ever going to need to be good at Excitebike?
When the world is given games, whether it be video games, card games, sports, or whatever, we as humans take those things and somehow turn them into tournaments. Because what's more interesting, a group of friends playing Mario Kart or a carefully curated tournament bracket set up to really show who's the best of all time? Tournaments are in our nature, and the world has for sure capitalized on it because not only are tournaments interesting, but they're a great place to advertise. And that brings us to the Nintendo World Championships. Starting in the year 1990, Nintendo hosted the first Nintendo World Championship. It had players racing for the best times in a series of mini-segments from NES games. Most notably, the first challenge had players grabbing 50 coins as fast as possible in the original Super Mario Bros. Then, 25 years down the line, with no mention of the championships at all, Nintendo hosted a second tournament, but this time with a very specific goal in mind. And that was to show off their next brand new game, Super Mario Maker. But this was in 2015, which means I was alive to watch this one, and I will say, it was a lot of fun. Even if it kind of seemed like one big Mario Maker ad, it was still engaging. Then a couple years later, they hosted a third Nintendo World Championships, this time highlighting Mario Odyssey with some early boss battle footage.
Now that's cool and all, but wouldn't it be better if you could have your own Nintendo World Championship at your own home?
Well, no, not as cool. As of July 18th, 2024, Nintendo World Champions NES Edition released on the Nintendo Switch.
Time and time again, Nintendo can release a game that makes the world seem to stop. Everyone will put down everything they're doing because this game is going to be so big. The game to end all games. This is not that.
And that's not me saying this game is bad, that's me saying this is a compilation of NES challenges. This is a compilation of NES challenges. This is just a reskin of NES Remix. And is that a bad thing? No, NES Remix was a ton of fun, so I was more than happy to jump right back into this style of gameplay. And with a Nintendo World Champions reskin? Sure, sounds neat. The game retails at a solid $30, which to some may seem pricey, but I was alright with.
You really think this is where I draw the line?
Anywho, upon booting up the game, it isn't going to waste much time. Are you playing alone like a loser, or are you partying with friends?
What'd you think? I have all this stuff and friends? Ha!
When jumping into single player mode, the game gives you an extremely brief overview of the Nintendo World Championships. And I mean, I feel like they could have had a much cooler opening here. Like show some clips of old championships and go into more details, but I guess that would have added a lot of seemingly unnecessary work. Moving past that, the game lets you pick an icon and a title. The title is a little description of you as a player. Thankfully, the game doesn't have an option for the Nintendo Wii generation, so I felt a little younger than I have been the last couple years. Then again, when did the Wii come out? Then the game lets you pick a favorite NES game, and you know me, a Super Jeopardy guy myself.
Once the setup's complete, you're dropped right into the first challenge.
Yeah, so a lot of the easier difficulty challenges are really short, and this is much more fun in multiplayer, but in single player it's like, why did I spend $30 on this? Which for the speedrun mode, you know, the main single player mode, it really makes you think, is this game worth it? Thankfully, this is just a first impression, and not everyone makes a good first impression.
You see, that was my bad first impression, and look at me now.
But thankfully, not all the challenges are super short. They can range from grabbing the sword in the original Legend of Zelda to completing from start to finish the entirety of Super Mario Bros. With warp zones. Realistically, no challenge should take more than 10 to 15 minutes. And that works for what the game is trying to do, just not in single player mode. But where this game really shows off is in the presentation. It does an excellent job of capturing the feeling of competing in a tournament. Not only does it have a slick 80s aesthetic to accompany your gameplay, but there's also a crowd cheering that'll react to your gameplay. Like if you do something good, they'll cheer louder. Followed up by the giant speedrun timer and the display showing your button inputs on both your gameplay and replays. They really sweat the details here. Thankfully, there are other modes for single players. Moving on from the speedrun mode, we have weekly challenges and online survival. The weekly challenges takes your scores and show how you rank against other players. Yeah, well, there's nothing else to add to that. But the survival mode is much more fun. This mode puts you up against 7 other players' scores and see who can stay alive the longest by getting the fastest times. I had much more fun with this. The only problem is it only lets you play 2 sets of challenges every week. Why? Why do games do this? Just make it random from all the challenges. I guess I just don't understand programming, but holy crap. In my opinion, this kills the mode for me. It's not replayable until next week. Then you play it once. It's like, oh boy, I did it. Let me wait until next week and I'll do it again. I get why the weekly challenges would be incentivized because you want to perfect your score, but the survival mode? It would make more sense if it was random from all the challenges, not change it every week. I mean, that's 10 challenges a week. That's like 5 minutes of gameplay. I don't like that. So, from a single player standpoint, it's kinda tough to recommend this game, especially at $30. Once you feel like you can't shorten your times anymore, there's no incentive to boot this game back up unless you really want to do the weekly challenges. But don't worry, we aren't quite done yet because this game, as I mentioned before, also features a party mode. Grab up to 7 of your best friends, shuffle an icon, and prepare to race through the many mini challenges this game has to offer. Party mode is where this game shines. The more players you have, the more fun you're going to get out of this. The first one being free play, which lets you pick from any of the challenges. Free play is great and all, and you kind of have to have it, but it's in desperate need of a randomizer. Other than that, well, it's free play. Then there's the other mode, which lets you play sets of 3 to 5 challenges back to back to see who can get the best score. Now this is where the game shines. Due to the simple gameplay of these games, people of all skill levels can run through and still be competitive. My friends and I were having a blast playing through these because the game does a good job for the most part at keeping the competition close. Easily the party mode is the best thing here, and it definitely helps to add another 8-player game to my library to spice up my parties. So in the end, it really boils down to one thing. Will you be playing alone or with friends? Because if you plan on playing this alone, it's not worth it. You'll find yourself desperate for more and probably putting the game down after an afternoon and never touching it again. But if you got some friends in mind who would love to play this with you, then yeah, I would say it's worth it. You can never have too many 8-player games, and I can honestly see my friends and I jumping back into this at some point. And if I ever host any more parties, this will be up on my list of games we play. I personally had fun with this game. I was always a big fan of the Nintendo World Championships, and while I probably won't ever play this game again on my own unless they add more NES games, I'll definitely look forward to the next time I can play this with friends.
And we're back for the final round of the Nintendo World Championships. I know it's been a long tournament. It's the moment you've all been waiting for, but we're...
Tournament in the bag. We haven't played Mario Kart yet, and there's no way they won't play Mario Kart in the Nintendo World Championships. Easy final. This other guy doesn't stand a chance. Oh, but what if it's Metroid? I'm no good at Metroid. I think I can pull through if it was Metroid. I think I got this one. You know what? No. Any Nintendo game they throw at me, I'll easily take home the win.
And the final game is Excitebike.
Wait. Excitebike? No, anything but Excitebike! No!
Ooh, and that's a run killer for Tyler. I don't think he can come back from that one.
I hate Excitebike.